Hi, I'm Shaini Nair and welcome to another episode of Vibrance, and today I'm going to be talking about this impact of the solar eclipse which we had on June 21st, 2020. But before that, we also had a solar eclipse in the month of December last year, that is 2019, which was the one actually that triggered the coronavirus pandemic. So solar eclipses generally have a huge impact. Now let's understand why this eclipse which happened in June 2020 is going to have rather a huge impact in the coming months. It's going to be very intense, and the energy released during this eclipse will be very uncontrollable. And moreover, we had certain planets or certain transit of planets which is adding to it, or I would say which is actually triggering it. Now, if you look at the solar eclipse, it happened in the sign of Gemini. Now, Gemini is an Aries sign. So we could probably hear a lot of aerial mishaps during this time, and also Gemini represents transport or communication. So there could be some kind of accidents related to the transport also. And Gemini also represents the media world, it represents advertising industry, it also represents political leaders, or I would say statesmen. So there could be news of sudden demise of certain celebrities or even certain political leaders during this time. Now this eclipse is actually happening in between the axis of Gemini and Sagittarius. Now Sagittarius is a fiery sign, and Sagittarius also represents war, it represents ammunitions, it represents military. So this eclipse actually, if you see, has triggered the warlike situations which we are facing right now. Now if you take the chart of the eclipse, of the solar eclipse, then there is a particular chart which we call as the Navamsha chart, in which we see that most of the planets have come into the water signs. So when they come into the water signs, it's an indication that we are going to have a lot of disasters related to overflowing of water, or it could be floods, or it could also be cyclones during this time, and it is seen more in the northern part of India. Now the second planet which is triggering the whole event is Mars. Now Mars is a planet of actually war. And Mars is generally, when Mars goes retrograde in Aries, there has been huge transformation. Now this happened around 30 years back or so. When it went retrograde in Aries, there was a downfall of a huge superpower, which is the Soviet Union. Now we are going to see the same retrograde Mars in Aries in the coming month, that is between September to November in this particular year. So that is the time we can also see the downfall of a huge superpower in our neighboring country. Now coming to the third is two important planets again, which is going to trigger this event in the coming months, is Saturn and Pluto. Now Pluto is a planet which can bring about unimaginable transformations, and from the grassroots level it can bring the transformation, and Saturn is more like an uncompromising authority there. So whenever there has been a kind of association between Saturn and Pluto, either in the form of a conjunction or aspect, there has been huge transformation in the form of war generally. So if you see, when this kind of association happened, we had the First World War. Also, the 1947 partition between India and Pakistan, India getting independent, was at that period there was an association between these two planets. Also, the same association was seen in the Vietnam War, and also in the 9/11 incident with the collapse of the Twin Towers. There was an association between these two planets. So you can see the kind of transformation it brings. Now, this conjunction right now is happening in the sign of Capricorn. Now, or Makar that we call in Hindi. Now Capricorn is a sign of government, it is a sign of corporates, it's a sign of finance. So here you will find, when this conjunction happens, there's going to be a huge transformation in the economy. Probably the entire economy would collapse, and you could have a completely new economic module, or there could be a different kind of financing system that is going to happen in the coming decades. And also definitely it talks about a warlike situation. The next one that triggers is the nodes of the moon, which we're talking of Rahu and Ketu. Now Rahu right now is in the sign of Gemini, and Ketu is in the sign of Sagittarius. Now in the month of September end, Rahu will move into Taurus and Ketu will move into Scorpio. Whenever these two planets have been in the axis of Taurus and Scorpio, we have always seen wars in the Indian subcontinent. Okay, and always this kind of an axis, planets in this kind of an axis also leads to natural disasters like earthquakes. Okay, so in a nutshell, what I would like to say here is, We are going to see huge transformations happening in the coming decade. We will see a lot of changes. There could be economic slowdown also, and there could be a lot of volatility in the market. So this is the time that we need to be very cautious, be very careful of your investments also. And India is going to focus more on the borders. So this is the time that we actually need to support the Indian Army. Okay, so this is all for today. See you soon in the next video. Thank you.